S tier character customization, all the sliders you could possibly want.
Okay, again, we're glazing. Let's just be honest. You guys know it. I know it. We all know it. If game doesn't have a boob slider, it takes that L. It takes a huge L on the boob slider. We've got LazyPeon eating his words a little bit. I think a lot of people are kind of eating it a little bit over TNL. Just a really, really good game. I think the other games are kind of in panic. And in fairness, it's healthy. I love Black Desert, but I'm really glad that suddenly they're like, oh God, all of our players are playing Throne. Oh my God. Suddenly they're listening. We're on a downward slide for 4 months. They don't listen to anything. Don't even acknowledge that there's a problem. Throne of Liberty comes out. Oh my God, panic. Here's the dev note. Okay, here's what we're fixing. Progression's going to have diversity now. This is good. Competition is healthy for the market. It's a win. And initially, our boy LazyPeon here had some relatively negative things to say about TNL.
I 100% put my hands up and admit that I was wrong about Throne and Liberty.
I would love it if he just immediately was like, I was wrong. It's complete dog shit.
To be honest, I wasn't really that hyped for this MMO. I genuinely thought there was no chance NCSoft could turn this game from an autoplay mobile piece of shit that we was all collectively memeing on to a...
So true. I can't tell you how many comments are like, oh God, enjoy your mobile game. Yeah, those are people that have no idea how far Throne of Liberty has come since its beta. You know what I mean? Insane.
Game that I'd actually enjoy, but I was wrong. In the past, I've said the combat in this game is clunky. It is clunky. Does it get better at level 50? Yes.
Bro, he just pushed that guy off. That was smooth.
A bit, but it's still clunky, and the movement at times drives me insane.
The combat is not as smooth as BDO, and so it is clunky in this regard, in my opinion. It is definitely clunky in that regard. No question. But overall, I'd say it's smooth enough that I don't mind too much.
However, given the improvements the devs have made to the gameplay in such a short space of time, I think they've earned a bit of patience from myself that they'll continue to improve it further. Is the game pay to win? Yes,
True,
but all Korean MMOs are pay to win, and the pay to win ceiling isn't as high as other pay to win MMOs.
I don't really like it when people are like, yeah, but all Korean MMOs are pay to win, so it's fine. Let me just explain to you how pay to win this game actually is, okay? Because like no one will give a metric. All right, and what just happened? Where'd we go? I think we're like here. I think that in Black Desert you're looking at like you can spend $25 or grind for 1 hour, right? That's in BDO. All right, and that's a good metric. That helps people understand just how pay to win is the game. If your upgrade takes you thousands of hours to grind for, you can tell that the hours kind of rack up quickly, right? In Throne and Liberty, this metric is probably closer to $15 or grind 1 hour. Okay, so like you can either spend $15 or you can play the game actively for an hour. Okay, and for a lot of players, that's still fine. A lot of people, that's why people still think that like that line is like, okay, well, most players are probably not going to spend $15. They're just going to go grind the hour, right? So it's a little bit more margined. I will also say that the ceiling in TNL for what you can do, there's like a limit on how much you can pay to win each week. Unlike BDO where you can just like keep going with crownstones, it's insane. In TNL, the ceiling it's really low. So like even if somebody spent like Shroud spent like what, like $5,000 to $10,000 on the game or some crazy shit, I don't know the exact figure, but thousands of dollars. You have the people who have BIS gear and like they're all like geared out and everything. All of the normal players are going to catch them within 2 months. Some of the hardcore players will catch them within a month.
Phantom115 just resubscribed for 10 months.
Free to play
at blue_squadron. Love you.
I think that but the gear ceiling for TNL is much lower than BDO. In BDO, you have to spend like thousands and thousands of dollars because, you know, like the gear ceiling is much higher. So it's very difficult. I'm not trying to compare the two necessarily, but like this is kind of where I got the metric from. And this is where I feel that people like, it's like, okay, that's something that they can wrap their head around. How pay to win is Throne and Liberty. That's kind of the line that I would say it kind of sits at. And then again, the ceiling is so low that a lot of players just don't bother paying to win because they're going to be there soon anyway.
It's spamming dungeons, mastering the mechanics, and actually...
It does suck that it's pay to win, though. We tried not to get it pay to win, and I don't like saying, oh, well, it's just a Korean MMO, so it's fine. Yeah, I don't like that either.
Getting used to the pace of gameplay in Throne, that something clicked, and I said to myself, I get it now. And since that point, I've been enjoying the game to the point where this isn't something I'm just going to drop after I've made my content about it. This video will be a simple format. In the first half, I'll talk about all the things I like about Throne and Liberty so far, and in the second half, I'll talk about all the things I dislike about the game. I'm not going to explain how the game works because I want to keep this video concise and content rich. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Canon, not only for his top tier content about Throne and Liberty, but also helping me better understand the game privately.
Bro, Cannon's pumping. Cannon's pumping, bro.
In DMs. He's a cool guy and you should definitely subscribe to his channel. But before we jump into the review, do us a favor and support the content by listening to today's sponsor. Throne and Liberty, things I like. We'll start on the topic of visuals. The game has amazing graphics. It's the best Unreal Engine 4 MMO I've ever played, and I think you
I can't believe it's Unreal Engine 4.
Could argue that it looks just as good or better than Black Desert Online. Some people...
You can argue that, and people get really upset when I do argue it. I think that BDO has better graphics if you're just standing there, there's not much going on, and you're just panning around. Yeah, BDO looks more beautiful, and I think close up, your character's personality is expressed more strongly in BDO. Like, your character itself looks prettier. You can see the pores on your character's skin in remastered mode. That being said, in BDO, you have to turn down the graphics really frequently for performance because you get more FPS, or you get more DPS as you gain FPS. So a lot of people play on low, which means the graphics are objectively worse. That being said, also in remastered mode, the pop-in problem, where like you guys have seen it, where like the objects will just pop in on your screen out of nowhere. That's really bad. And then like the textures sometimes don't load in properly. That doesn't really happen in TNL very often. I haven't seen bugs like that in TNL. And so the graphics are very smooth. Even in large scale PvP, I can keep them on epic. So like, I do think that in some ways it is better than BDO, and then otherwise it's not. But like overall, I think it is an objective W. The visuals are a W, right?
People say the visuals are generic, and I can see what they mean. It definitely looks similar to other Asian MMOs, but I actually like the art style, especially with how vibrant and colourful everything is, from the UI to the world.
I'm gonna move up a little bit so that you guys can see them.
Where you point the camera, especially in the starting town, can be framed to just look like the most picturesque, beautiful scene I've ever seen. Again,
screenshots in BDO, way better than Throne and Liberty. If you go into the screenshot mode with like the UI off and stuff, BDO's like, because you can change the there's so much customization that you can do, and like turn the camera and do all this crazy stuff. BDO's customization for that is just top in the genre, in my opinion, trying to get screenshots. But again, they're trying to emphasize the fact that their characters have amazing tits.
In an MMO. Just look at how good this looks. But what makes it look so good? For me, it's the scale of the environmental assets in relation to the size of your character. It's perfect. This combined with the game having an insanely far view distance. This was also something that I really liked about New Worlds, but I think...
I'll be honest with you, I think the scale is something that I actually like Guild Wars 2 more. I think the scale in Guild Wars 2 is the best in any... I've only played Guild Wars 2 for like 20 or 30 hours at this point. But like, I'll be honest with you, Guild Wars 2 does an amazing job of showing scale on all of its stuff, right? The structures are so big and you just feel like you're a part of this vast world. I think that, I don't know, I like having like the really big structures that you can run around on, and like, you're just this small person in the world trying to make a big difference. And I don't know, it's just pretty cool. Right, in TNL, he's right. The scaling is more for humans and stuff. And I think the scaling for Siege, particularly like the big golems and the wall and stuff, that's done really well. I think that Guild Wars 2 is a little bit stronger.
Throne looks even better. I absolutely love the way armor looks in this game. Even early in the game, I thought my character looked so cool with the armor he had equipped. I felt absolutely no need to buy any cash shop cosmetic.
So true. So true. Guys, I have skins for my character. This is just the base character. in the game. Okay, like this shit looks so good. It also puts your guild emblem on the back of your cloak and stuff. You look like a badass, man. It is the best game in terms of like, bro, Black Desert. How's your dim tree armor look? You should sit down.
And I actually reckon the in-game gear you obtain from quests, mob drops, and bosses looks straight up better.
2550 movie.
Just look at my warrior. The shield, the chunkiness of the shoulder pads, the way he holds his greatsword.
He's badass,
it's just so cool. The open world multi-level dungeons in this game are also extremely impressive. The level design, depth, and sense of scale in these massive dungeons is unlike anything I've seen in another MMO. It feels like
that's kind of glazing. I'm going to be honest with you. That's kind of glazing. I love the open world dungeons. I think they're an amazing PvE aspect, especially at night. You get the PvP of the open world dungeons is a lot of fun. And the way they've designed them using like kind of an aggro system from Black Desert or like these abyssal contract tokens. Oh, I love that. Right. I absolutely love because you can stack them up and then you can try to lock down the dungeon with your guild. It encourages player interaction. But I will say that like with the amount of players playing the game right now, and they're kind of stale. I'm gonna be honest. He's capping right now. There's no mechanics or anything that you can do. You just run around and you just kill mobs. It's basically like Black Desert where you're. I'm sorry that I'm comparing to BDO so much, but like that's what I know. Remember when we used to grind in circles? This is the equivalent. Okay, this is the equivalent of grinding in circles, but you're doing it with a party, and you get to PvP from time to time, right? And it's not nearly as good as BDO's grinding is, but it includes PvP, which makes it way better than BDO's. You get PvP with a party, which is fun, right? So like there's good aspects of it, and I do think that like the mobs are kind of basic. There's no mechanics. You're just killing them. You're just doing damage. It's like whatever. Nobody cares.
Like something from an anime. I also love that the game is one massive open world with no loading screens. I like the dynamic weather, seeing the trees blow in the wind, the dust particles, birds fly.
Yeah, whatever. That's all like normal stuff. There are load screens. You have to teleport to the waypoints. There's actually a lot of load screens. Well, it's not really a load screen so much as it's like a flash and you're teleporting. So I guess he's right. It's not like long load screen stuff, but like you're constantly teleporting all over the place. So there are interruptions in gameplay, even if there aren't load screens.
Fly up as I run past them, and it's also cool how weather affects
how much is 6K Lucent in US dollars? $100 US on the money.
The gameplay with various effects. The game has epic music, kind of what you'd expect from a lineage game, S-tier character customization, all the sliders you could possibly want.
Okay, again, we're glazing. Let's just be honest. You guys know it. I know it. We all know it. The game doesn't have a boob slider. It takes that L. It takes a huge L on the boob slider. Also, character creation being S tier is kind of a joke. Black Desert is the S tier character creator. I think its character creator is it's definitely better than Guild Wars 2. Right? I'm not sure about WoW, but it's probably better than WoW. I put it in like the B to A tier. Yeah, A minus. Yeah, A minus is fair. I would give it a B plus, A minus. Somewhere in there. S tier is glazing as.
The game has an insanely good photo mode. All that's missing is the ability to change the time of day, change the weather, and turn off the UI during this mode. And
it's insanely good. All it's missing is the ability to turn off the UI, change the weather, change the time. Like, again, that's kind of a glaze. Let's give it a fair shake, right? We love Throne of Liberty, but like that could be better. Like being able to turn off the UI and like change all the settings, turn the camera, spin it, get your screenshots. It could be a lot better, right?
And I also liked the cutscenes. A lot of them seemed pretty epic, but the one I liked the most was after the tutorial. The seamless transition of you arriving at the mainland, seeing the title screen and all the players load in.
Okay, I would have liked this more if it wasn't. I'm a degenerate! Yeah! I watched the cutscene and that shit immediately disconnected me, bro. Immediately disconnected me. Like, what the It's bullshit.
Very memorable. Things I like, gameplay.
I'll be honest with you, the cutscenes are not that great. The cutscenes are okay.
Same shirt.
Okay, very funny. The graphics in the cutscene are solid, but let's compare these to the World of Warcraft cinematics. Or can you even do that? The WoW cinematics are like the gold standard. Blizzard cinematics, you can't beat them. You just can't beat them. And in Throne of Liberty, although the cinematics are good and the graphics look good on them and stuff, I don't know. It just doesn't grip me as much as something like StarCraft 2 cinematics or World of Warcraft cinematics. Because man, I didn't play WoW, but holy crap, bro, that shit made me want to though. Insane.
The game runs extremely well considering the amount of players and openness of the world. Sometimes you do need to turn the graphics down a bit when there's hundreds of players on screen.
Get a better computer, loser? I don't really have to turn my graphics. Although I did experience some lag today. There were over 400 players on my screen and I was definitely lagging a little bit.
But overall, I was impressed with the performance, which is very important.
I'll be honest with you, Icon Digital already optimizing for Throne and Liberty, so you can just optimize with them and not have to turn down your graphics. Easy peasy.
Important considering the pinnacle content of this game is Castle Siege with hundreds of players.
Seriously though.
The combat, whilst clunky, does feel impactful. The feeling of my sword connecting with the enemy, the VFX, and the numbers popping up does feel satisfying.
It does.
I think the combat in this game has quite a unique feel to it, and it's quite grounded. It's not perfect, definitely a lot of things I dislike about it, which we'll mention later on, but at least it doesn't feel floaty like some MMOs. That being said, it does take a long time to get used to. Throne has two interesting, unique combat mechanics that I do quite like. The first being collision. As a warrior, I can push enemies into walls to stun them or push them off high ground with my shield rush. I also really like the Q block. Although it took me a long time to get used to, getting the timing perfect on this actually feels really nice and keeps you engaged.
I like the Q block, but I'm a healer, so I'm constantly trying to put out fires. Oh my god, you're gonna die. Oh my god, you're gonna die. What? You're gonna die. Oh my god, you're gonna die. No, not you. Oh, I forgot to block. And then I die. It's a little bit much. But but it does add a dynamic to the game that I like.
Engaged for boss fights. Throne really feels like a true MMO, very early in the game and throughout. It supports a massive number of players, it brings players together with regular events, and you're incentivized to group grind mobs, unlike Black Desert Online where you're penalized. I like that
Based! Yep. True. And by the way, there's a lot of people in my comment section that constantly say, you can't compare Throne and Liberty to BDO. They're two very different MMOs. No, I think on the contrary, they're two MMOs that appeal to the same audience. PvP, MMO gamers, right? And they do things very differently, but they're still appealing to the same audience, so you absolutely can compare them. And he's not wrong. BDO is a much stronger solo player experience, and you are punished for playing with a party in a lot of cases, especially like early on. You're punished. Throne of Liberty is much more fun in a party and encourages party gameplay and punishes you for playing by yourself. So like, it's kind of up to you.
Dungeons are 6 players instead of 5. I don't know why, I just like it. It feels more social. And I like that bosses can be killed with less than 6 players if everyone does the mechanics perfectly.
True.
I haven't seen any boss enrage mechanics yet, and on numerous occasions we've managed to kill bosses with only half the group due to a few people dying. It takes a long time.
Good job, guys. We all contributed equally. Some of you sat around a campfire while other people did damage to the boss, but hey, good job, team.
But it's doable. Things I like, content and systems. Even though I haven't gone to many conflict events yet due to not having a guild, I think it's a fair system to have some events be conflict PvP enabled and some peace. The same goes for open world dungeons turning full PvP at night time. It incentivizes players to join guilds and learn to PvP, but it's not so oppressive to the point where a PvE player can't enjoy the game and avoid this type of content.
I agree with this take. I actually think that there's almost too many events in the game, but like, I actually think that that's actually a good thing. I've considered this for a long time. Initially, I was like, oh my god, there's just so much stuff to do. There's so much
Dying at a boss, HAHAA.
Yeah, right. But like, there's so many events. There's so many things going on. I think that long term, as you start to calm down on like your gear progression, I think that the events will keep the game engaging much longer term. Right? So you can go out and do stuff with your guild. You're constantly going to do PvP. You're jumping on the whale. You're doing the PvP bosses. You're doing the peace bosses, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that you can constantly be doing in the world right now. It feels very overwhelming for, I think, all players. super, bro. It's sometimes it feels like you can't even play the game because you're like, oh, now I gotta go to this event. Now I gotta go to this event. Now I gotta go to this event. And it's probably better for a more casual player, but like there's just always stuff going on. I think that as people hit like their maximum gear curve and stuff, I do think that those events will be much stronger. And with less going on, that's what will keep the game thriving long term.
Obviously, the endgame siege PvP and GV.
When you think about Greatsword Wand, is it bad? I personally like Greatsword Wand users, but a lot of people say that it's bad. I personally like it. I think SNS Wand is better as far as a tank, but like I think Greatsword Wand is just fine. I think you're really going to struggle in PvE though, unless you do like the curse thing. You could struggle in PvE unless you do the curse stuff.
G stuff is insanely fun. It's the best pinnacle content in any MMO really, in my opinion. The most fun I ever had in an MMO was my days of being in a hardcore siege guild back in Black Desert Online.
There it is, bro, and that's why we're hardcore in TNL, because in the absence of BDO being a good game, this is what we've got. Okay? Like this game's really good.
So I'm really excited to try this part of Throne. I really enjoyed Throne's solo boss challenge content, Tadal's Tower. Going into it I expected it to be gear gated, but every boss is just pure mechanics, and I cleared the whole thing with potato gear as soon as I hit level 50. I love that.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't know, I definitely knew that those were a thing, for sure, 100%, and have cleared them all. The second that I learned about those things, I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know that those were a thing, and I made a short about it so that other players wouldn't fuck up the same way that I did. Every time I make a fuck up, I'm like, yo guys, do this so that you don't do what I did. Okay? Now, if you hit escape, go to the secret dungeons right here. On this left side, all of these, like he's talking about these rewards here. Look how many rewards you get for doing this stuff. Keep in mind, purple can be disenchanted to blue, can be disenchanted to green. So this is a lot of rewards. This is a crazy amount of rewards. So I haven't even gotten through them all yet. I just realized you could do it. And then I was like, okay, let's make this short so that everybody else knows. I have to get these done on my own time at some point.
Daily stack up to 5 days before you're at your caps. You can literally not.
I hate these things. I hate these. I hate contracts. I think that at first I was kind of indifferent. Now I'm like, all right, they're a chore. And being only able to accept 5 at a time is extremely frustrating. Like, I also don't like that I have to refresh every time you... So guys, if you don't know, every single time you accept one, you need to click the refresh button at the bottom. Because you might get one of those bad boys, and then you accept it because it's really good. And those are great and everything, but like, they're just... They feel like chores. And I don't really like chores very much. So contracts are something that I don't really like so much, but I kind of put up with it. It's kind of a solo player experience thing. I don't like that as much, but some people probably do like it.
Play for 4 days, then catch up on everything on day 5, and you're not missing out.
The game doesn't have rest bonuses if you don't do them every day. Oh, no, it does. It does. So at the bottom down here, you can have up to 60. You get 10 a day, and it can get up to 60. You can accept 5 at a time and just bang them out, right? I have like 45 still to do. Because like I drain them to 0 and then I let them stack up for like 5 or 6 days. Then I drain them to 0 and let them stack up for 5 or 6 days. And this is kind of how the gameplay works in TNL, guys, if you don't know. Contracts are like this. Your abyssal dungeons are like your open world dungeons are like this too. There's like an Agris system or an abyssal contracts token system. So in the top right of your screen, this little number right up here, when you're out of that number, you can't do the open world dungeon anymore. I mean, you can, but it throttles you really hard. But like when you have those, you can go do the open world dungeon, or you can let them stack up for a few days. It's the same thing with the co-op dungeons, dimensional contract tokens. Running a co-op dungeon takes 300 of this. So I usually let it stack up to like 2,000 or 3,000. You get 900 a day. So you can run 3 dungeons a day. Or you can let it stack up really hard and then do them all at the same time. Same thing for the open world dungeons. Same thing for the contracts. Which is good because, you know, it feels like I'm ripping off a band-aid when I do contracts, but the rest of it is fun.
On efficiency. Unlike most Korean MMOs, Throne doesn't seem like it's too time consuming. Dare I say, I think this might be an MMO that respects your time once you're in the flow of doing the daily stuff. This game's gear enhancement system is one of the least punishing I've ever seen in a Korean MMO. True. Yes, there's a bit of RNG, but it's really not much. You always get something for using your resources to improve your gear. There's no seemingly unreachable ceiling like in BDO. I also think the way you obtain...
I love how everybody gets on my case for comparing shit to BDO, and he is just dogging on BDO. He's not wrong. The enhancement system is guaranteed. Basically, every day you just click the button, number go up. Boom. There is a small amount of RNG on like the traits and stuff, but like not really impactful.
Main gear is relatively well designed too. For a Korean MMO, I was surprised that I didn't find a whole lot of inconvenience. Usually these games will have weight limit systems, almost no inventory space, a lot of create.
That was one of my biggest feedback things too when I started playing the game, is I was like, wait, I can just expand my inventory with Solent, which is the in-game currency. How are they making their money then? Wait, there's no weight? Wait, all of my outfits are on all of my characters. So when you buy an outfit, guys, in Throne of Liberty, it's on all of your characters. Everybody has it. Not just the one character. It's not like BDO in this regard. Or most other MMOs. It's insane. I guess not most other MMOs, but like, you know, at least Black Desert. I will also say that something that people don't bring up very often is that you can absolutely play Throne of Liberty free, completely free to play. You can even get the battle pass and the leveling pass, like this kind of stuff. You can get this stuff by just playing the game. You can get the battle pass every single month for just playing the game. You don't have to spend any money on it, and you can have all of the stuff. It doesn't cost very much either. 500 Lucen's like nothing.
Problem to sell solution, but there doesn't seem to be too much of that in this game, so far anyway. I think it's cool that the chat has an auto translator built in, and I also like that the devs are listening to feedback and seem to be fast at improving the game. This game is unrecognizable now compared to what it was a year and a half ago, so hats off to the devs for the changes so far. Next, let's discuss the things I dislike about Throne, once again starting with the visuals. I absolutely hate turning into a dog to run around. My character looks so cool in human form, but I need to transform into a shit animal and go through a weird animation.
How dare you? Dogs are the best creature on God's good earth. They're better than humans. They're better than cats. They're better than primates. They're better than zebras, horses. I don't care. Dogs are by far the most loyal, loving, amazing creatures in the universe. I love turning into a dog. We don't deserve dogs. That's right. If my dog were falling off a cliff and there was another person also falling off that cliff, I'm saving my dog. I don't give a shit. I'll say it. I don't give a fuck. I had a girlfriend ask me that question once. Honey, if we were both falling off a cliff, Basil. What? You would save your dog over me? You bitch. If it would help me save Basil more securely, I would push you off the cliff faster. Shut up, bitch. Know your place. Like, that's what you get. That's what you get. I love, now on the subject of the turning into animals, I actually really like it, but you understand, I'm coming from Black Desert where you can only ride horses, and that shit sucks. That I hate that. They've never gotten away from the horses, and it's killed. I hate that so much. And then I play Guild Wars 2, and it's like, wow, look at that mount. Whoa, look at his mount.
That dog is always there for you. A woman can leave at any moment.
Like, yeah, whatever. Like, Guild Wars 2 has these incredible mounts, right? And so the mounts in Guild Wars 2 are stronger than Throne and Liberties. But I think that, like, this gives you skins and stuff, and so you can morph into cool creatures. And I often find myself, like, laughing at a lot of the different, like, morphs that people have. Like, people turn into the birds from Up, or just, like, run around like, oh, shit! You know what I mean? Like, it's really funny. Like, I walked over to my guild during a boonstone, and everybody was a cobra, like, going around the circle. I'm like, what's going on over here? They're like, we're having a seance. Get in here. I'm like, okay. I love that. I think it's really, really cool. The bird from Up. Yo, you. I like Kevin. But, like, I have the incredibly based take that the bald eagle is the best bird. Because, you know. But there are some really cool mounts in this game that I really like.
Bro, just let me sprint. It would be so much better.
Yeah, I like turning into animals. I know that's a hot take, but, like, and I also want to say that just because you like being able to turn into an animal does not make you a furry. Okay? If you want to the animal that you turn into, that makes you a furry.
Delete the animal shit and give us a sprint instead. I really don't feel like the morphs add anything to the game. And
I do. I like the morphs. I don't care. But again, I come from Black Desert. I've been deprived for years. I've been in an abusive relationship on mounts for years.
for me, I'd prefer if they just took the traditional MMO approach of mounts instead. But at the very least, they need to improve the transition from animal form to human form, because it's very janky. The camera zooms in, your character often desyncs on this transition, and it doesn't feel instant and responsive. On top of that, there's no option to enable the animal form only when shift is being held. You need to double tap shift to enable and instantly disable it. So in boss fights, you often linger in animal form for a few seconds longer than you'd like, wasting stamina and as a result not having enough stamina for a Q block.
That's a fair take.
It just feels bad.
That's a fair take.
Actually seeing which target you're targeting can be difficult at times. The indicator's just this small orange bracket around an already orange board. I think the devs should try to make almost every ability usable without having a target, similar to how it works in Guild Wars 2. Just a small thing, but I dislike how your character will often have their movement interrupted and blocked by the smallest of rocks or inclines sticking out of the floor.
Every MMO I've ever been a part of has that problem, even Guild Wars.
Some of the arena maps I find annoying that they've incorporated
10 out of 10 good boy would ride in a battle, that's what I'm saying.
the grapple mechanic to their map design, which doesn't feel good. In fact, here's a good example. I fell off the map, I tried to grapple back up, and I'm just completely bugged out for a solid minute.
Yeah,
I can see
rough.
how this would be fun if the grappling was actually good, but unfortunately it isn't.
The grapple is a little clunky. I hate that you can't, and it was one of my primary complaints with the game. I don't feel like I can go up at all. In other MMOs, I feel like I can Skyrim my way up a mountain. In TNL, no. You have absolutely no verticality basically at all. You can't go up unless there's a grapple, and you have to be positioned perfectly on the grapple or it shoots you the wrong way. It's really annoying. And you can't grapple without stamina, and stamina is needed for everything. It's really annoying.
Combat block feature can feel a bit scuffed when you're trying to solo AoE farm. All the circles going off at different times, you're running out of stam, and you can't get any channeled abilities off. I think in PvE you should have like 2 or 3 seconds where you can't be CC'd after a successful block. I dislike that sprint and block have the same stamina usage, as when you're grouping up mobs to farm, you simply have no stamina left to block once they're all grouped up. It feels bad. Additionally, I dislike that after you've killed all your enemies, and should theoretically be out of combat, your travel morph still has its stamina drain as if you're in combat.
True. Bro, stamina is so punishing in this game. You spend all of your stamina, you get hit by a random mob on your way to PvP, and you have to run all the way back, and so your stamina literally drains to nothing. You get to the fight, you have to grapple, or you have to do something. Like you're trying to run around, can't do it, stamina's empty. It's really annoying. Oh my god, bro. I don't really know why the stamina is like this, but he's right about that.
For a solid 10 seconds after it's finished. And playing
I was having this problem too today, getting to the enemy balls to flank and respawn. Yeah, I mean, a possible fix for them, if they're listening to feedback, is to just have mobs around a boss area despawn while the boss is going on. That would help.
melee in large-scale encounters, both PvP and PvE, can feel bad sometimes, because you basically need to be on top of your target to hit them. So for events, you might feel like you're just running.
That's what we call a melee character. Very close. Yes. That's what the big sword, it no hit long range. You get bow, it go much longer. You go staff, you go wand, you go bow, you go there. You sword, no go. What the f do you mean? You have to be right on top of your target to hit them, bro.
Around with ranged DPS killing everything before you can even reach your target. Perhaps there should be a bit more tolerance in regards to the distance that melee need to be to use their abilities.
Nah, because then you run into balancing issues. I think that melees are doing fine in this game. I've heard feedback that players like being a tank in this game more than any other MMO that they've ever played. That could be, I don't play as a tank. That could be bad feedback. I'd love to hear the tank's comments on this. But like, tanking seems kind of fun in this game, and like the range damage isn't quite as punishing as it is in other games.
Things I dislike: content and systems. Re-rolling weapons becomes harder the longer you play. I don't mind how they've designed the skill leveling and mastery systems, but at least sell us the ability to transfer masteries or buy skill conversion books off the cash shop.
All right, I made a short about this. I'm just going to show you guys now too. You need to go to the loyalty shop. This is the ornate coins down here. And then you need to buy all these skill books. Right here, you can dissolve these down to blue skill books and literally immediately level your skills to purple. This is I made a short about this. It's crazy, bro. This is like the hack on it. So there is a way to do this. Now that being said, he not wrong. One of my biggest gripes about TNL is the reroll system. If you as a new player start playing staff wand and then you go, I kind of want to play greatsword wand. Okay, well, yeah, yeah, because if you waste all of the mastery and stuff and like the skill books that they give you from the main story, it's cooked, bro. It's super. You might as well just start a new character, do the whole main story over again. It's really frustrating. There are transfer books, yeah, but like you can't transfer everything. And like, what if you want to reroll twice? Like, what if you're a new player and you start as a staff wand, and then you're like, I wonder if dagger greatsword would be better. And then you're like, no, I don't really like that. What if I want to try, let's try Expo dagger, right? Like, you shouldn't punish new players really hard for trying out the systems of your game. You should allow them to reroll for much, much less penalty, because it allows people to stick with the game longer, because they have a higher chance that before they quit, they're going to find the class that they actually belong on, right? In an MMO, if you find the class that you are destined to play, like this is the class that you most vibe with, right? You're much more inclined to play that MMO long term. You're much more likely to play that MMO long term.
And with the transfer book, you can't transfer mastery.
And you can't transfer mastery, and the mastery is extremely difficult to get. If you're wondering what mastery is, it's these things. I'm not even, to be clear, I've been playing hardcore since pre-release. I'm not even level like the full mastery yet on either of my weapons, and I have not rerolled at all. I've not even thought about rerolling. I'm still not full. That's how hard mastery is to get, especially if you waste it. It's just really hard, man. Like, I don't understand why they made it this punishing, because like they're losing players because it's just way too hard to reroll. Like, your first 3 or 4 rerolls should basically be free. And then after that, I can see the game punishing you. If you want to reroll more than like 3 times, okay, I can see the game punishing you for that. But like right now, man, you're already way behind if you want to reroll even a single time.
Wouldn't even be pay to win. If people stop enjoying their character, they'll quit. If they have the option to spend money to try a different playstyle without feeling like they've wasted tons of time, then they might stick around. The auction house is extremely laggy. I hope this is just a launch issue, but it's not been very responsive since launch. I dislike the
I think it's just because there's a cajillion people playing.
micro FPS freezes you get when you open and close the map, as well as other UI elements. This could use some optimization. Some of the quests during the leveling process were awful. Thankfully, leveling is quick, but from level 30 to 45, it felt like every quest was either a puzzle, a jumping puzzle.
I knew, how many of us knew that he was going to try to show this one, bro? Oh, wait, no, this isn't the catapult one. Everyone remember the catapult quest at like 45 or whatever? Deadage. Bro, that shit sucked. That shit sucked. I hated that shit, bro. Thank God I have viewers that came and pressed the button for me. Oh, God.
But from level 30 to 45, it felt like every quest was either a puzzle, a jumping puzzle, or utilized the game's awful climbing mechanics. This entire part of the game would feel better if they...
I would completely agree with that. I think that there's no verticality in the game, and then they chose to make like half their quests be like, get up to that point. And then instead of like making it a puzzle, it's like, all right, where's the grapple at? Because that's the only way to go up.
Improved the feeling of movement. The new player experience in Throne is not the best, in that the game does a poor job of teaching you about its progression systems, traits, dissolving gear, and the procurement of resources, to name a
so bad. He's right.
Few. There's a lot of pitfalls for new players to mess up their characters, especially for those that don't watch YouTube guides.
Yup, you're cooked. I'm afraid to click anything. Guys, I've been hardcore since pre-release, and I knew basically nothing going into it. I'm nervous to click anything. Now, only now, have I started understanding, okay, these are the stats that I want. This is how I upgrade gear. This is how I've wasted God knows how much Lucent. Thankfully, I didn't spend any money on it, because I got it through in-game, you know. But like, I've wasted a lot of Lucent buying extra pieces of gear that I didn't actually need or couldn't use. Or I would buy an extract off the market, and I'm like, what do you mean this isn't the helmet? You know what I mean? Like, if you go to the market, like, this is one of the simple things that people can, they're like, okay, well, I want to buy this Abyssal Grace Pendant. Well, they don't realize that this is the extract for the Grace Pendant. This isn't the pendant. You can't wear this. This is just a trait that you're putting on your thing, right? It's really hard to figure all this shit out, especially as a new player, bro. It took me a long time. I didn't want to click anything. I didn't want to do anything with my gear because I'm like, it's so punishing when you mess something up. You transfer something to the wrong piece of gear. One click, it's gone. You're cooked. You're completely cooked. You click the wrong piece of gear from the pity system and the bosses, you've set yourself back 50 hours of gameplay, right? It's rough. So, like, be very careful about your gearing early on. And again, I just made a gear guide for Juan's staff for, like, PvP stuff. I recommend checking that out for which stats that you need for that. And Canon is a great source of information, too.
And finally, the game is pay to win. It's not BDO levels of pay to win, and a free-to-play player could definitely
What the fuck are we talking about? It's worse than BDO.
play the game, get geared, and enjoy it. It's not going to be as fast as a pay-to-win player, but it's achievable. Finally,
Okay, I talked about this before. You can either spend $15 or play for an hour in Throne and Liberty. Okay? Now, I will say that from a free-to-play perspective, you can get the Battle Pass, right? You can't do that in BDO. So he's right about that. You cannot get you can't get a value pack. You can't get a Comma Blessing or a book. Well, you can't get a Comma Blessing and Book of Full Moon. But you can't get a value pack in BDO without spending the money in most cases. They do hand out a lot of value packs, but it's like that in that regard, TNL is stronger. But in my opinion, it's way more pay to win. I have been way more tempted to pay to win in Throne of Liberty than I ever was in BDO at any point in my career in the 6 or 7 years that I played that game. Nowadays, I look at the market and I'm like, $300 for a best in slot staff? That might not be the worst idea. You know what I mean? But like in BDO, it's like, Sovereign Weapon, $16,000. I'll pass. Like, like it's a little rough. So I suppose that in some cases, yes, it can be better than BDO. In other cases, it's not nearly what BDO is. And like BDO, you can infinitely pay to win with Cronstones. So I suppose if you wanted to giga whale like tens of thousands of dollars a week, you can do that. And Throne of Liberty, you get limited, right? So there's that. But again, I do think that you're rewarded more for spending money in Throne of Liberty by far than you ever were in BDO. The difference is the ceiling is not as high in TNL either. So anyone that spent $10,000 on day one to try to have the best in slot stuff, yeah, we're all going to catch them free to play in a month or two. So fuck it. You can't do that in BDO. So there's that.
here's a small list of improvements I want for Throne of Liberty. Forgive me if some of these are already in the game on Korea. I don't play KR, so I don't know what's coming soon. Considering that a lot of the in-game armor is just as good or better than cash shop cosmetics, let us collect the appearance of armor that we've obtained in the lithograph book, so we can then use that as cosmetics too.
Smart. I like that idea. That's a good idea.
I would like more than 3 ability loadouts. 3 is not enough. You have
also true, bro. I need at least 1 or 2 more. I need at least 1 or 2 more loadouts.
Multiple for PvP, PvE, solo, small scale, large scale, and so on. Remove animation locks on more abilities. Overhaul the movement system. We need improvements to the grappling, jumping, and vaulting mechanics, as well as smoother transitions in and out of morph. Make it easier to re-roll. Sell weapon mastery transfers on the cash shop if you want. The game's already pay to win, so giving people the option to pay to re-roll is completely fine.
I think that they should give you like 2 or 3 of them for free, because you shouldn't punish new players monetarily or whatever. If you punish a new player, if a new player is playing your game for the first time, they pick the wrong weapons and they want to play something else, and they see that they have to spend money to do that, most people are going to say, yeah, f you, I'm going to go play Guild Wars 2, right? Or some other shit, okay? I think that you should give them 2 or 3 full reroll coupons, like 100% full reroll coupons for free when they start the game. And then you can start charging them for it. Like if they want to reroll like the 4th time, like, okay, well now we're going to start charging you the money.
Make a help chat or buddy system to help new players avoid mistakes and common pitfalls. Add the ability to change the time of day, change the weather, and turn off the UI during photo mode. Add a small duration of CC immunity following a successful block.
Wait a minute. You can't even turn this screen settings thing off? when you're taking a picture, that's crazy. That's insane.
Photo mode, add a small duration of CC immunity following a successful block, give us more customization options to help us see which enemy we have targeted, and finally, delete the furry stuff, get rid of it out of the game, and send who—
Nah, you, I like the morphs. I'll be honest with you, I like the morphs. I do. I think it's cool. There's no other MMOs like that. And like I like running around like a dog or something. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's a wide range of diversity. You know, you can put skins on or unlock mounts in the game that look really cool and like different variations. You have 3 of them. That's cool. Like I think that's just really cool. I don't know. Asmon didn't like the mount morph either, and I think he's kind of jumping on that train. But like I'm just gonna take the unpopular stance, I guess, that I really like the morphs. I don't know, guys. Like.
whoever decided it was a cool idea over to Square Enix to go work on Final Fantasy XIV. Overall, it took me quite a while to get used to it, but I'm finally enjoying Throne of Liberty, and it definitely seems like a game that will appeal to me in the long term, provided the devs can keep improving it and they don't ramp up the pay-to-win ceiling to be any higher. As an ex-BDO player...
Okay, before he says that, I do think that it has the wheels on it to make it long term because there are so many in-game events that constantly bring you together as a guild. So even if there's nothing to grind for, there's always something to PvP for. There's always something to go do with your guild. There's always something to do in the game. And so like that will keep players engaged all the time. It's not like BDO where like you log out and you only log in for Node Wars and then you have nothing else to do all day with your guild. That's it. Right? In BDO, the long-term, like the longevity of the game is all PvE, grind in circles for thousands of hours, solo. In this game, I think that it has the wheels on it to be a really strong, like community-based game because everyone's constantly playing with each other, and there's always something to do.
An old-school RuneScape enjoyer, someone whose best MMO memories are those large-scale epic PvP encounters, I think this game is made for someone like me, but I also think Throne has a lot more mass appeal than Black Desert Online, considering the PvE side of the game is actually really fun and accessible with some satisfying boss mechanics. That being said, this game will not be for everyone. If you can't get used to the at times clunky gameplay, then you're 100% justified and valid, because my experience is that it isn't something that really gets much better, but you do get used to it and you learn to appreciate its quality.
I completely agree. There's some people that just cannot get over the combat because BDO has ruined them for other girls, or Lost Ark has ruined them for other girls, right? But like, if you can kind of get past that and the combat being a little bit off, you know what I mean? Or just even a big gap, right? I do think that Lost Ark and BDO, and then there's like a big gap, and then there's Throne of Liberty's combat. If you can get over that, the game systems are top tier. Like for PvE and like PvP systems and stuff are really good.
Quirks. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Throne of Liberty so far, and if you enjoyed the vid then help us out with a like. What I'll probably do in a few months time is follow up this video with one titled Throne of Liberty after 1000 hours or something, so subscribe and keep an eye out for that.
Throne of Liberty, a 1000 hour disaster. I can't wait for it, guys. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Here's the video right here. Go interact with the video, guys. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. LazyPeon makes really good MMO content. Really good MMO content.